Oh, you can go make him. Kei ngā kahika o te Nehenehenui, tēnā rā koutou katoa. And welcome to another engaging Puna Kōrero o te Nehenehenui this evening. Glad to have everybody on board, tuning in on our MFM platforms, our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, and on our YouTube as well. And I'm lucky and privileged to be back again in the hot seats. I haven't been here for a little while, so I might be a little bit rusty out there tonight, te whānau, but I'm glad to be in on our Puna Kōrero for this evening. And we have got a good one lined up for us throughout this evening. And I must say that I'm excited to talk to our panelists because tonight's going to be a kōrero of reconnection and a bit of whakawhanaungatanga as well. And as we know, or if some of you don't know, 90% of Ngāti Maniapoto uri live outside of the rohe. Now, we know that's a big percentage of our people that don't live back here in Te Nehenehenui. So what more better way to catch up with our whānau living tāwahi overseas, abroad and across the world. And I've got a special panelist with me streaming from all over the world this evening. Thank you very much for our whānau that are tuning in, beaming in from all over the world this evening. Tēnā rā koutou katoa.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, kia ora koutou.
Kia ora.
And what we're going to do, we're going to get straight into it because we've got a lot of kōrero to get through, and also we're going to have some pātai coming through this evening. So what I want us to do this evening is introduce ourselves to our whanaunga that are tuning in live. And what we'll do is we'll go around the squares, and we'll start with Kim. And if we could just have a little bit of ko ai koe, Kim, who are you, and where are you at the moment, and possibly what time it is in your part of the world? Tēnā koe, Kim.
Kia ora, Leon. My name is Kim Tangi Haere. It is 7:34 and I am in the Netherlands at the moment.
Ka pai. Thank you, Kim. Good morning. 7 a.m. 7:30 a.m. in the morning in your part of the world. Let's fly across to Pia. Tēnā koe, Pia, ko ai koe, and kei whia koe.
Kia ora, so I'm Pia Davis, so streaming live from Melbourne. It's actually 5:30 here at the moment in Melbourne. It's very overcast. It's cooled down over the last few days, so and I'm in long sleeves. If we were this time yesterday, would have been looking at me in a bikini. No. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Pia. It's a bit warm back here in Te Nehenehenui as well, but you won't be catching me in a bikini, that's for sure. And on that note, let's cross to Danny. Kia ora, bro. Whereabouts are you in the world?
So I'm coming in from Brisbane, Australia, or be here. Massive storm just come through here, so just to the viewers, bear with us at the moment. The internet connection here is filling a little bit, but hopefully it won't be for much longer with the storm passing through. So it's great to be here, and I look forward to the Q&A.
Kia ora, Danny. Thank you for tuning in, bro. And hopefully the storm has passed over, and you guys will be able to keep connected throughout this evening. But thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you guys jumping in this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you guys are. But we really, really appreciate you guys talking to us this evening. And of course, our whānau at home that are tuning in on our Facebook page, you can drop in some live pātai. If you want any pātai that you want to direct to any of our panelists, don't be shy, jump into the comment section down below, and we'll be sure to answer as many pātai of yours. Ka pai te whānau. Well, let's get straight into getting to know you guys a little bit more, and we'll go around the squares again, and we'll come back to you, Kim. And the question is, how long have you been living away from home? And actually, what's your affiliate? What marae or hapu do you affiliate to back here in
Okay, so I'm from Te Tokanga Nui Anoho. That is my marae, Tikua Tipa. And I have been away from New Zealand. I lived in New Zealand up until I was 12. I then moved to Australia. And about 6 years ago, I moved to Europe. So I started in the UK. I went back to Australia, and then I moved to the Netherlands, and I've been living in the Netherlands on and off for 3 years now.
Nice, beautiful. Thank you, Kim, for that. And same question for you, Pia. How long have you been away from home, and where do you affiliate to? Which marae or hapu?
So I've actually been in Melbourne now for coming into 11 years. We were only supposed to come here for 2, but obviously have stayed a little bit longer. So I affiliate both to Te Waipatoto, which is Oparere Marae, and also to the Tikwiti Marae. My whānau is actually the Takanawa and Davis whānau, and but I was actually born and raised in the Bay of Plenty, but have very strong ties back to Tikwiti Marae and Oparere. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Pia. Oh, you got whānau everywhere, and I bet you there's heaps over in Australia where you are as well. And over to you, Danny. Same question, bro. How long have you been away from home, and which marae you affiliate to?
Yeah, kia ora. So I've been over here for going on 11 years now. I moved over here in 2011. I did in the Royal New Zealand Navy, went to Tikwiti High School as well as college. Left there at 17 in the Navy, did 15 years there, and then landed myself in Perth to begin with, Perth, Australia, and now in Brisbane, working in the regional areas in mining. So I affiliate to Maniapoto through Ngāti Apakura. So my grandfather is Kingi Heke. I helped the whānau Mara there. No, recently, even though I'm this far away from home, I've managed to reconnect with a lot of our whanaunga over here from Ngāti Apakura. So it's been an interesting time over here, and it's been great reconnecting with all our whanaunga. I think, you spoke about 90% of our whānau living outside of Nehenehenui. Well, I think a good 80% of them are probably over here somewhere.
I think you're right, Danny. I think most of them are over there, especially Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. So yeah, you're probably right, bro, with that stat. Actually, thank you everybody for that. That was a good insight into getting to know you guys a little bit closer. Now we know we're all living wherever we are in the world. We're living in the COVID world, and us here back in Nehenehenui, unfortunately, Omicron is in the community here in Aotearoa. And we are getting ready for a bit of a surge, a bit of a wave. They are predicting numbers in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, here in Aotearoa. So we are getting ready and making sure that our whānau back here are most prepared as best as we can. How have things been for you guys where you are, and in particular, if you could give us a journey on when the pandemic began and pretty much to how you are at the moment. And if we could come back to you, Kim, and if you could start off on that one. Tēnā koe.
Yeah, so I actually came back to the Netherlands. Well, in 2020, I left the Netherlands to go back to Australia when the borders were closing. And I managed to make my way back here again in January of 21, straight into a lockdown, which lasted a couple of months. We were teleworking from home, so getting set up again, at home. And then summer came and the restrictions lifted and everything calmed down a little bit. But coming into winter, we could see the next lockdown coming, like lockdown 2.0 of 21. And then that did come into effect, I think, end of November last year. And then we were in a lockdown over the Christmas holiday period. And that actually just ended, I think it was Wednesday of last week. So now we are able to go back out into the community and, go to cafes and restaurants. And I'm still not able to go back to the office just yet. But that we're looking to that towards, end of February. So hopefully we can have one day a week of everyone coming together in the office again. So it's been a bit of a wild ride the last year, I have to say.
Yeah, I can understand that. And with you guys, you said that you've been in lockdowns for more times than you've been out of lockdowns. And us here at home, we sort of moan when we get to the 8-week mark of being in lockdown. But I know you guys have been in there for much longer. And for you, Pierre, over in Melbourne, how's it been for living? Because as we know, we've seen Melbourne on the news quite a lot with the pandemic. How's it been living there for the last couple of years with everything going on?
So March 2020, I think I travelled back to Te Kuiti. We had a whānau hui. During that time, here in Melbourne, is that COVID was just kicking off and it was just starting to spread around the world. I remember quite vividly my partner telling me, now you guys be careful with this COVID thing. Make sure that you sanitize and that you're safe because you're going to a location with a lot of people. At that point in time, I was at home rolling my eyes. When I was at Te Kuiti Marae and we were having our whakawhanaungatanga with all of our Te Kanawa whānau and the Hearst House whānau, it became real because the borders started to lock down. New Zealand shut their borders, so people from Australia couldn't come in. And as we were flying out, the Australia borders were about to shut as well. So it was, for me, back then, it was quite a massive shock because I didn't have an opportunity to sort of ease into it. As soon as we flew back into Australia, we got cards from immigration telling us what we had to do. We actually have to self-isolate for 2 weeks straight away, which I thought was okay. But my husband was out working and he works in the food industry. So we had to clean down the house before he came. We had separate eating areas. It was like we actually had the virus and we didn't. So we had 2 separate living locations because he had to go to work and we had to stay home. We didn't leave the house for 2 weeks. We got called by immigration to make sure that we were home, and we got visited by the police to ensure that we were here. Fast forward 2 years, things haven't changed too much. We're allowed out and about, being one of the most lockdown cities in the world. I was just saying to the whānau recently that I can probably count the days where we've been out of lockdown more, which is around about, I think all up in the last 2 years, about, I'd say 3 months where we've been allowed out and about. So it's been pretty tough. I know that mental health for our whānau we only have a small family, was actually quite hard. I have a 16-year-old son who was about to do all of the social, get out there and know your mates. He was locked down doing schooling from home. For me, it wasn't too bad because I could still work from home, to which I'm really grateful because I know that in Melbourne at the time, there were a lot of businesses that were actually shutting down and it was really tough here. I think and now we're actually coming out of it, which is good. But we're only just getting to the point where we're starting to come out of lockdown a little bit. So as much as I love talking to my whānau back in Te Kuiti and back in New Zealand, when they talk about COVID and you mentioned it, you've only been in lockdown for 4 weeks. Sometimes I do sort of have to bite my tongue because I know that at a different stage, you guys are going through a different stage. Like we were hitting 50,000 a day. It's dropped down to 1920 and we're okay with it. Whereas New Zealand is a very different situation.
Man, yeah, those are some big numbers. They're huge numbers and a little bit scary actually for us back here at home in our little country of Aotearoa. But yeah, some real true predictions coming across us as well. And to you, Danny, in particular, bro, how's the last 2 years been for you? But actually in your mahi, if you can tell us what sort of mahi you do and how that's actually affected your mahi in the last couple of years too.
Yeah, kia ora. So I actually work in the mining industry. I'm a fire and rescue officer working for BHP, massive mining company, multinational. And, they say that mining is sort of the industry that has kept Australia floating, I guess, throughout the whole pandemic. So, we start talking about essential workers as a mining worker. We've been classed as essential workers, and you know, I think I've seen a different perspective of the whole environment coming from the mining industry, because we have been really masked from the real issues that have been going on out there. So when we talk about lockdowns, it didn't really affect us too much. I work on a 7-day on, 7-day off rota. So I fly away for 7 days. I do my mahi at my mine site, and then I come home for 7 days R&R, we call it. And so during that, you know, transition period between work and home life, I didn't really get to see too much of the lockdowns, you know, schools closing down. There was a period there through last year, around about March, when we had a really hard lockdown for about 2 months, where we actually did feel a little bit of it, but you know, the whole 7 days, 7 days on and off, it just really masked us from a lot of the issues that were happening around us. So for me, you know, I have a different perspective because I'm always traveling, you know, every week, and the time that I'm away at work, I don't see what's happening back home throughout the lockdowns. We're sort of really limited to some of the exposures that I see on TV, stuff like that. So yeah, it's really hard for me to talk about that. Although, you know, our work environment actually ramped up even more. So we had a phase where our mine site was actually up for sale. The price of coal went through the roof, and you know, we had a lot of expectations in terms of production to really boost the price of the mine that we were selling. And so, yeah, I can't really comment too much on the lockdown as such, because life was really very normal for the likes of the essential workers. You know, when you talk about essential workers, some of the things that you think of is, you know, the doctors, the nurses, and all that type of stuff. But really, it was the truck drivers, the distribution arm of, you know, the supermarkets, warehousing, all that stuff. It was the real blue collar jobs that really kept the economy running. So yeah, it was an interesting time, and you know what, we've come through it pretty well unscathed. So for us, I call myself lucky.
Yeah, those are the superheroes in our rohe as well. You know, back here, the ones that keep things ticking over, the distribution, all the delivery, the people that just keep the world ticking over. Yeah, we can't forget about all of those essential workers as well as everybody else as well, doing the hard mahi to keep everything going. Yeah, so lockdown, it gets hard. You know, some of us have been in lockdown longer than others, and I want to know what's been your guys' shining lights through your lockdown. You know, what's been the one thing that's kept you going? Have you taken up something new, or is there so much Netflix that you can watch, or what's been getting you guys through these long lockdowns? And we'll start with you, Kim, if we get across to you.
Actually, Leon, it's what you mentioned before when you brought up Isaac, the coach, the fitness coach. He has been my shining light through lockdown. I wanted to have a connection, you know, with New Zealand, just to keep me sane. And I'm not a Netflix person or a TV person, so I needed something else to put my mind to. And just having like a fitness coach to do the at-home workouts and someone to keep accountable to. For food and just, you know, to touch base with someone from home. I mean, yeah, for me, Isaac was my shining light through especially the last lockdown. So yeah, I give a shout out to Isaac here for that. Thank you.
Shout out to Isaac Newton, and we were actually lucky to have Isaac on a Puna Kōrero a few weeks ago. Actually, he was one of our Maniapoto ki Tāmaki that we had on one night as well. So big shout outs to the Maniapoto Super Saiyan, we call him, Isaac Newton, whānau. Look him up if you want a PT, personal trainer. He is the man. Okay, Pia, what about you? What's been getting you through the lockdown over there in Melbourne?
I think for me, it was actually being at home. So with my job, doing consulting and doing large programs of work for big organisations, I was actually travelling a lot. I'd travelled to India regularly, Sydney, all over the place, around the globe, which, I spent quite a bit of time away from my family and did a lot of work. So the positive side that came out of COVID is that I actually got to know my son, who's 16, a lot better because he had no one else to talk to, so he had to talk to his mother. So that was actually really quite nice. He came out of his shell throughout that process. He did have a couple of challenges and mental health challenges through that because he was just so frustrated. The other shining light that I had was that I love food. So I put on quite a lot of COVID kilos, and I love it because then I can blame COVID for all of my COVID kilos and with my clothes not fitting anymore. So I have to go and buy some new clothes. So opposite to you, Kim.
Yeah, so took all those COVID kilos. Pierre, I've found a couple of those as well. Might be hitting up Isaac, I think. And to you there, back over to Brisbane, bro. What have you been up to getting you through this pandemic and these lockdowns?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Just recently I've really started getting into whakapapa. So I've bumped into a kaumātua over here, kaumātua John Shortland, and he's really opened my eyes to the power of whakapapa and how we connect to everyone and to the whenua and all that. I've just been going around and meeting different kaumātua in the area around here, around the local area of Brisbane, a lot of whanaunga, and even reconnecting with my own whanaunga from Ngāti Apakura, and just getting all our whānau together, reconnecting. Obviously, it was a little bit harder during the lockdown, but we were able to, once the lockdown came out, we had all got pre-organised some get-togethers, and our whānau just really thrived just through those reconnecting of relationships. And the other one is, I don't know if I want to say it, but I will. TikTok. I'm a big TikTok fan, and it's hard to because I posted up a video of a haka I did at my grandmother's tangihanga, and it went viral, all around the world. So I managed to amass 200,000 followers on TikTok, and I don't know why. It just was all about our culture. They love our culture. They love haka. They love poi. They love puna. I follow it all in Europe, so half my whānau don't even know I'm on TikTok.
This is your chance, Jen. Danny, what's your TikTok handle, bro? Let us know what your TikTok is so our whānau can follow you. What is it, bro?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Focus with Dan.
Here we go.
So everything, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Focus with Dan. If you look up that, you can't miss me.
There we go, e te whānau. There we go. First of all, follow MFM Te Reo o Te Iwi, and then go and find Focus with Dan, and you'll be all good. You'll be all good. Come on, Danny. Thank you for that, bro. And it's so nice to hear that you've reconnected with whakapapa as well, and you've found somebody over there that you could reach out to help you with those connections. And it sort of runs me into my next question, actually. And we'll come back to you, Kim. And we know that even our whānau in Ahitereiria, they have community over there, whānau groups, and us here in Aotearoa, we've got, us here, we're home. But you in particular, Kim, are there any whānau over there with you in the Netherlands, or do you have any community groups or ropu there to support you, or any whānau there?
Yeah, like we have a Kiwis in Holland group. Oh, I hope that's working. Yes, we have a Kiwis in Holland group here, and I do have some whānau up north in Holland as well. I have an auntie here. But obviously through the lockdown and everything like that, we couldn't actually connect in person. But I just make sure that I'm always connecting, like video call someone from home at least twice or three times per week. And then when we can actually all come together, with the groups, Kiwis in Holland, there's Kiwis in London, then it's always a good opportunity, especially when I'm on this side of the world, to make sure that I do go and see people from home. It's important, or try and get back home when I can.
Nice, nice. It's good to hear that you've got a group over there that you can connect to and some support as well. That's very good to hear. To our whānau that may have just joined us for the special live broadcast, we are talking to our whānau that's beaming in from all over the world. We've got Kim, who is over in the Netherlands right now, and we've also got Pia, who's in Melbourne, and we've got Danny all the way from Brisbane. Hopefully diverting that storm, bro, and your connection stays strong. So hopefully we keep that connection going. But whānau at home, you can send in your pātai, just put them in the comment section right here on the Facebook Live and ask our whānau anything. Any questions that you want to ask them about where they live or how it's going over there, what the price of petrol is, how much is it for a loaf of bread, whatever you want to ask, put it in the comment section and we'll do our utmost best to answer each and every single one of them. I want to just continue this kōrero about these support rōpū, and I know our two whanaunga that are living in Australia, there's you guys, probably have a rōpū there, or whānau even. Do you guys keep connected with your whānau in Australia, or how does that work? Pia, have you got support there with you?
Kia ora, Leon. So one of the key things being here in Melbourne is that we do have. I've got quite a lot of whānau here in Melbourne, but it's been a while that we could actually connect together. So whilst they might have been outside my 5K area that I could actually travel, there was a lot of Zooming that was occurring and a lot of virtual drinks and a lot of virtual Saturday nights or virtual Friday nights where we could actually connect. So it's only just recently, since we've just come out of lockdown for Christmas, thank goodness, that we've actually been able to connect with whānau physically, right, face to face, where we've been able to actually hug them. So now when we come out of lockdown, the one thing that I always try to do, even though everyone's lives are really busy, is I really appreciate the fact that I can actually go out and see them, and I make the effort to do so. I always ring family back home, usually mum and dad, or once a day, if not more, and then my sister, so that's always there. And then I always actually connect them with my other trust whānau, where we have meetings every month. So everything is in Melbourne, a lot of Zooming. Very different connection.
Yeah. And I know Zoom has been everybody's best friend for the last 2 years. And to be honest, pretty grateful that we've had Zoom for our lockdowns. And even me living here in Otorohanga, we're having Zoom sessions with our whānau that live just down the street and down the road, just to be safe. But it's just a way to keep ourselves safe and keep ourselves connected. So we give it up to digital technology and keeping ourselves connected. I want to come to you, Brother Danny, because I know that over in Brisbane, you're involved with a rōpū as well. A bit of a Maniapoto ki ahi tareiria rōpū, bro. And how's that group been going, and how do you guys keep connected there?
Yeah, so that group got when the Maniapoto Māori Trust Board came to Australia to talk about the ratification of the Nehenehenui. So we started getting a few of our whanaunga together just to ensure that we could get a lot of people to that hui and make sure that we had a good representation here. So myself, Paula Wanakore, and Claude Wehi, we all got together and we just started trying to round up all our people, and we created a group, get everyone in one place and just a place to communicate with everyone. And although the hui didn't go ahead, obviously due to the lockdowns and COVID, we still kind of keep together, keep informed. We'll post up different bits and pieces to keep our whānau informed. We haven't had a hui as such together as a group, but we still keep connected through that medium. And obviously, we haven't been too affected lockdown here, so we have been able to get out and actually see whānau in person. So in that regard, our whānau here really well connected. We are spread out a little bit here too. So as you know, Queensland's quite a big area, and just a small pocket of the southeast here in Queensland. There's a large number of us, so it's good. And see each other around quite a bit. We've got a massive Waitangi weekend coming up this weekend. A lot of celebrations around the place, and a lot of our Maniapoto whānau are actually taking the charge, taking the lead in those. Looking forward to it.
Kia ora, brother Danny. Yes, and I actually see on social media a lot, especially through Waitangi weekend, our whānau in Australia. I swear you guys have way more hangi there than we do back here in Aotearoa, and I get a little bit jealous, to be honest, sometimes. I'm thinking, geez, what are we up to? You fellas are having all the hangi over there. But yeah, it's been a bit of a, with you guys living away from home and being in a pandemic. Has there been support for you guys from home? Has there been any support in a way or contact from any of our groups here, any of our runanga here, any of our trusts? Reach out to you guys that live overseas and offer any types of support. And I'll give that one to you, Kim, to kick us off.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that anyone's directly reached out to me, but I think in general, and I think it's just part of Māori culture as well, everyone seems to stay connected and check in with each other. And if that's one thing that I've taken from living overseas, as Māori, I'm so grateful for the way that I grew up, because everyone's always connected. I always have my whānau reaching out to me, video calling, checking in. There's always like a connection there. So even though there's not like a direct, directly people or groups reaching out, it's just always there. So I can't say that I've struggled with that.
Yeah, I understand that 100%, Kim. And sometimes that's all you need is to know that your whānau are there, and if you need to reach out to them, that they're there for you to reach out to. So that's good to know. And to you, Pia, same question: is there living over in Melbourne? Has there been any reach from any of us back here or organisations to offer any support to you over there?
I think with my large whānau, they might have been just reaching out to connect. They're part of different organisations, but didn't actually say. So similar to Kim, it didn't actually come from an organisational direct perspective. But I know that all of my whānau were checking in regularly to see how we were going. We were organising virtual parties, as I said, and we'd have quiz nights. So that was one good thing that we did used to kick off regularly, is that every Friday we'd have a quiz night, and it was really good because you'd learn a lot about your whānau, because there was a lot of questions around past and future and what was happening in the world, so that it took your mind off things. And like Kim, very grateful to the whānau for doing that. Whereas at the same time, it just makes you even more homesick, because you're like, I can't talk to you and hug you at the same time. So they were always checking in and always connecting, which was good. Sometimes a bit of hoha, but which is another good thing, right? Because they always want to see how you are, which I'm grateful for sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you on those. I don't know how many Zoom cahoots that I've had or karaoke sessions with lemonade and raspberry on a Friday night through Zoom. But yes, those things are things that we do to keep reconnected and just keep things ticking over in these times, actually. And same question for you, Danny. We'll end on that one. Have you had any or needed any support from home, or whether it's whānau or organisations? How have you been getting on there? What's support from here?
Yeah, well, we've haven't really required any support as such. You know, the company I work for, they've been massive. They just, because, you know, such a big company, the support measures they offer us have been amazing. And, you know, there was a time where a lot of us, not just Māori, but Kiwis here in Australia really struggled because of the immigration laws. And so that stopped us from being able to access certain benefits through, you know, through the government and all that. But one of the good things out of this pandemic is that it has, it's really put us in the same basket as everyone else. So if there has been a requirement for support through the government, there is a pandemic relief fund there that we're able to access. So in terms of government help, the help is there for us. It's been really great. And, you know, I do know some of our whānau who have been able to use some of that support. As for back home, though, for us over here, I think a majority of us been watching what's going on back home, and we've been sort of really concerned ourselves, you know, with the rising costs of food and petrol and all that type of stuff, you know. And so we actually are a little bit more worried about what's going back there, you know, rather than what sort of support we need from home. I have reached out to a couple of our local iwi to see if there is what can do for us, and there's not a lot, you know. We are international, so because our organisation is back in New Zealand, it's a national organisation, they can't really help on an international level. You know, it is what it is, and so for us over here, being able to just get on with it, in any of our whānau struggle yet. So that's the main thing, and the one thing about it is that we are all ready to help each other. We're a massive Māori community here. I live in the city of Logan, and you know, we've got a massive multicultural presence here, and the Māori, you know, us as Māori, we are one of the largest demographics here. So we're no short of support here, and you know, if need be, we're together and and keep an eye on the food. A lot going on. One of the things in particular, the reason why I a little bit was that they're having a Waitangi Day at the Dream World down at the Gold Coast. So, you know, that'll be something to have a look at as we go through that Waitangi celebration.
Kia ora, Brother Danny. Kia ora. And to those whānau that are tuning in at home, don't forget you can put your questions in the comment section in the Facebook Live, and we will direct some to our panelists. And on that note, I think we're going to have a look at one question from the floor right now. Let's see what's in the box. Kia ora, Tui. And Tui's question is, now that you are coming through the other side, so to speak, what recommendations would you share with Jacinda when handling the latest variants in our communities? Very good question, and I'll let each and every one of you answer that one, but we'll start with Kim. If you could answer that question first of all, Kim.
Well, in Europe, with this Omicron variant that's gone through, they have taken this approach, and it's in a few of the countries now where they've kind of just let it run through and start to continue life as, I wouldn't say normal because it'll never go back to normal, but I have to say, for the benefit of people's mental health and the economy, I feel like that's the best approach we've had so far, is just starting to learn to live with COVID instead of putting these big lockdowns or lengthy lockdowns in, and it's time to just start gradually getting back to some sort of normality, and that's what seems to be happening here anyway. So that would be my recommendation.
Kia ora, Kim. That's some good advice. Thank you. And same question for you, Pierre. What's your response to that question from Tui?
I think it's the same approach that for Jacinda to look at what's actually happening around the world, similar to the Netherlands. Australia are doing the same. They are letting the latest variant, Omicron, run its course. be aware, I think, for the community, just to look at the right numbers. So what I have observed and experienced here is that we talk about how many people have actually got COVID, and I've learnt to look at a different number, which is how many people are in hospital, rather than whether those numbers are going up. Similar to the flu, everyone gets the flu, but they don't all end up in ICU. So my advice or recommendation to Jacinda is let it run its course. It's going to happen anyway. It's just a matter of time. And I think that you know, by doing that, you will actually allow the economy to recover quickly. Australia has tried the lockdown approach; it didn't work, and this latest change in letting it run its course seems to have helped not only the economy but mental health of a lot of people and businesses as well.
Kia ora pia. And same question for you, Danny. What's your recommendations to the Prime Minister in handling this new variant, bro? What's your advice?
Well, been put into their position for a reason. They've got their advisors and all those professionals who will give them that advice. Over here, we, especially in Queensland here, we've looked at the vaccination, and what has happened here is that the Queensland government has decided, okay, let's get all our people vaccinated. So at the moment, we're just sitting on, I think we're sitting on about 89% double vaxxed, and we've gone past the 90% with this the first vaccine. So, when the government starts putting processes like that into place, it's all with the best intentions of getting the people, getting them vaccinated, getting them protected, so that when the time does come that we do contract the virus, I'm no different. I've contracted the virus. I was down and out for about 2 days, and then shook it off, and now I'm back to 7-day isolation once contracting it, and then there was no need for me to test again after that. It was just do your 7 days isolation, and then you can go back to normal. So I think get the people protected, and then just let it run its course. The numbers don't lie. We haven't had a lot of deaths here. We have had a few over the 2 years, but in the past 24 to 48 hours, I think we've had about 20 odd deaths, and the Minister of Health is saying that half of those are from our aged care fraternity. So we do need to look after our people, and particularly our elders, and I think the best way to do that is through vaccination.
Tēnā koe, Danny. Thank you, bro. Thank you for that. Thank you all for answering that question, and I hope, Tui, you got your answer out of that one. But speaking of questions, we've got another one in the part-type box that we're going to have a look at right now, and this one is actually from Lisa. Tēnā koe, Lisa, and Lisa wants to know, I know it must affect you all with border restrictions, etc., and not being able to jump on a plane and just come home. My question is, do you think whānau should be given the benefit of the doubt and be able to quarantine at home instead of MIQ? That's a great question, Lisa. And she's actually a WDC counsellor as well. So a very, very good question to put to our panelists who live overseas. So I'll give that one to you, Kim, if we could start with you.
Yes, I do think we should be given the benefit of the doubt to quarantine at home. I would be on a plane in a heartbeat, and I would quarantine at home with my whānau in New Zealand. I mean, I mentioned this to everyone before we went live, that I haven't been back to New Zealand for 4 years, or over 4 years, and I was meant to go back in 2020 when all of this, started and the borders were closing. So I didn't get the chance, and I had come back from the Netherlands to Australia, and usually that would be the time that I would then jump over to New Zealand and see everyone, come back to Australia, go back to the Netherlands. But I didn't get that opportunity last time, and I would, in a heartbeat, quarantine at home. Really.
Kia ora. Kia
I
ora.
totally feel that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, absolutely. Give us the benefit of the doubt. The fact that a lot of people have been away from their whānau for so long, I'm sure that when they do come home, they will quarantine at home, isolate properly, and make the most of it when they are out of isolation to go and visit their whānau. They don't want to go back to give the virus to anybody, so I'm sure that a lot of people will actually do the right thing. For me, I definitely will. Haven't seen, like my other panelists here, haven't been back home for over 2 years. So yes, I would definitely say give us the benefit of the doubt. We will quarantine at home. I'll obey the rules. I promise.
Yeah, kia ora, Lisa. Look, I think Australia has started to take on, that feedback that's been given to the Tonga people. So at the moment, they've opened the borders to international travellers coming here to Brisbane. All you need to do is present a negative test prior to getting on the plane. You get on, you get off the plane, negative again. There's no requirement to isolate. So I think the message is starting to get through. It's through here. We're opening our borders. So, I would hope that, the possibility of getting home and doing the same thing would be a really good thing. So, yeah, great question.
Kia ora, Danny. Thank you, bro. And to those people that are watching at home, don't forget you can send in some more pātai. Just put them in the comment box below, and we'll do our utmost to answer all your questions coming through. But we've got a question in the box right now that could be familiar to one of our panelists. Let's see who that's from. It's got the same name as one of our panelists, actually, but we'll come to Pia. And we'll start with you, Kim. Shana's question is, has COVID made you want to move home to Aotearoa?
COVID hasn't made me want to move home to Aotearoa, but I definitely realized that I took for granted being able to go home. And it makes me want to ensure that going forward, I make regular trips home to connect with my whānau and culture and everything to do with New Zealand. I miss home, like Pia mentioned before, like being away for so long, you're just more and more homesick. The more you talk to people, video call people, yeah. For me, I don't want to move home. I do enjoy my life in Europe, but definitely go home more often.
Kia ora, Kim. Kia ora. And you, Pia?
Well, unlike Shana, who actually relocated from Australia and moved home to Aotearoa to leave her mother all by herself and took my grand doggy Tiki with her. No, it has. For me, COVID is with the restrictions and not being able to jump on a plane like I used to go home regularly throughout the year has really made me think about wanting to move home. The challenge that I do have is that I'll go home and then I'm going to annoy everybody there. I've gotten used to the life in Melbourne, but being by whānau and just being the fact that I can't get home really annoys me. So it does make you homesick a lot. Thanks for the question, Shana.
Kia ora, Pia. And
Yeah,
same
well,
question.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Kim, sorry, as much as I own, and the good thing about being here in Brisbane is it is just only a 3-hour flight away. But obviously during these times, it's a little bit harder. I think really the decision is up to our kids. So I've got 3 children here, 11, 13, and 14, and they talk a lot about New Zealand, talk about the times that we went home, Aotearoa, and they do miss it. And then you start talking about going to Dream World and Whitewater World and all of those things down the Gold Coast, and then all of that sort of disappears. But definitely have feelings for home. I know home's always going to be there, Aotearoa, and our Pākehā here and our Kaumātua, they're all getting on now, so there's that sort of pull to move home as well. So you sort of just take into consideration what all these different factors, and then you come up with your own plan. But that idea of moving home is always there.
Oh, boy. Thank you for that. Thank you for your question, Shana, and I hope you and Tiki are satisfied with your mum's answer. Kia ora koe. And we've got another question in the box, and this one's actually directed straight to you, Danny, and we'll have a look at it straight out of our Pātai Pauaka. And this one's from Christine. It says, Kia ora. Can I ask Danny how he is going with his kōrero for the reprint of the Ngā Rau Aroha Nui o Te Whānau? The deadline is February the 28th, which is only not too far away. Danny, how are you going with that, bro? No pressure.
Kia ora, Christine. Well, I've still got another 26 days, so it is in the process. So just for the whānau at home, I think a lot of the whānau know Christine and this puka that she's talking about. So Ngā Rau Aroha Nui o Te Whānau is a massive whakapapa book that I'm not sure if everyone knows, but it's going to be in its third volume this year. So I think all of your kaumātua and all of our tupuna are all in this book from the Maniapoto area. And so Christine has asked me to do a kōrero for my whanaunga and my kaumātua from Ngāti Apakura ki Mangarama. So I've got a little kōrero that I'm writing up for Christine, and kia ora, Christine, it's on its way. I promise to you it will be on your doorstep before the February the 20th.
Kia ora, Christine. Thank you for that question. And yes, Danny is fully aware of that deadline, I'm sure. If he isn't now, he definitely is now. Thank you for that, Danny. And we've got another question directed at one of our particular panelists, and this one's for you, Kim. Let's have a look in the box. And this guy looks like a PT by that profile picture. Isaac Newton. Hey, question for Kim. How's the fitness going in the lockdown there, Kim?
Look, Isaac, I gave you a shout out in this live, but I will be contacting you soon again to restart my journey. But I had a bit of a lax time over December, as you know. So see you soon. Damn, he really called me out there.
Yeah, and I know Kim probably usually does her workouts in the morning, Isaac, but just for today, she had a really important kōrero to give this
Thank
morning.
you, Leon.
Yes, you're one pass for this time, Kim. I can't help you tomorrow, unfortunately.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get back into our kōrero, and we've been, of course, the kōrero is about the outbreak, is about the pandemic, and I want to ask this question to all of you, and we'll come back to you, Kim. We'll start with you, and have you actually, you or your whānau where you are, contracted the virus in the last couple of years?
I haven't. I haven't. And in my immediate family, just my younger brother, he had COVID recently, and he was knocked down for a couple of days actually. So that was a bit worrying. And he's also up north, and I think he's in the Northern Territory or north of Queensland. So yeah, he was by himself up there, which naturally makes you a bit worried. But I haven't had it, and no one else in my immediate family has had it.
Kia ora kia koe, Kim. And same for you, Pia. Have you or your whānau members where you are contracted the virus, and if so, how was the experience there in your part of the world?
So, like Kim, I've been lucky, and myself and my immediate whānau have not caught COVID. But what my work colleagues, so previously it used to be with the first variant of Delta, didn't know very many people, be 2 or 3 away. But I've had experience where my team members that I work with have had COVID, and I can say that each and every one of them have had different experiences with it. One of the challenges has been for the working mums, where they have got COVID and their children have had COVID, trying to work and look after their children at the same time. But like I said before, I have been lucky enough in my whānau where they have not contracted COVID. So
Kia
yeah,
ora.
very lucky.
Kia ora, Pia. Very lucky. And same question for you, Danny. Have you or your whānau contracted the virus? And if so, how has it been?
Yeah, so it's a funny story actually. My wife and I were both contracted the COVID. Now we don't know which variant it was. We believe it was the Omicron. It was very low impact symptoms hitting us, just headaches, a bit of aches and pains around the muscles, and a bit of a sore throat. For me, it was only a couple of days, so I was over it in 2 days. If you contract the virus, you've got to isolate for 7 days, and then you can go back to normal without having to test again. And the reason why I say it's a funny story is because both my wife and I are double vaccinated. Our children are not yet, so they've been living in the same house as us, small 3-bedroom townhouse here in Bethania. Both wife and I, like I said, have contracted it. My parents were unvaccinated, they're not contracted, even though we're living in the same house. So, funny story there. And my wife is a Davis as well. She's Davis from the Hokianga. Whakapau karakia ki Mutu Karaka. So I'm not sure if that's any sort of relation to you here, but yeah, there's definitely some whanaungatanga coming through there. So, kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Danny. Thank you for that. Kia ora, bro. Thank you to those whānau that sent in those questions as well before. We really, really appreciate those. And I want to ask this question because, of course, you guys are living overseas, and we've asked if you guys want to come home and move home. And yes, you've given us your answers. But have any of you tried to secure MIQ spots coming back to Aotearoa? Start with you, Kim.
I haven't yet. I'm actually booked a ticket to come back to Australia in April. And then I heard things changed in New Zealand again with the quarantine and Omicron. So I just cannot even put myself through looking at the MIQ thing right now because everyone just says it's a waste of time and you won't get a spot. So I'm trying to just pop that to the side of my mind, and I'll circle back around to that and I'll deal with that a bit later on. But no, I'm not looking at MIQ spots.
Kia ora. Same for you, Pia. Had any looks on for MIQ spots?
No, I haven't actually gone on to have a look at a spot. I'm just waiting for the borders to open up. But did with Shana and her partner Nick going home, they did actually have an experience of trying to book tickets. They were very lucky. I think they went on a few times. But there were some horror stories like there were 8,000 in the queue, and then I don't know, 12,000 in the queue, and then so that put me off even looking at it or even trying, because I'm sure there's a lot more people that are in different situations where they want to get home for particular reasons, and I thought I'm not there yet, and hopefully will not get to that situation. So good luck to those that are actually trying to get in. So hopefully Jacinda's watching here today, so that she can take our awesome recommendations around what she needs to do to open up the borders.
We'll tag Auntie Jacinda in the
Yeah, take a leaf out of
Yeah, what about you, Danny? Have you had any you've been trying to book any MIQs? Now I know it's probably you've got more chance of winning lotto or probably quicker just to swim home. But have you tried to book any MIQ spots?
No, I haven't. And just by the looks of what's happening here, I think that things might come around and do exactly what's happening here. Just the requirement to have a negative test, go over. If you're still negative, no need to isolate. I reckon that's going to come soon. They can't keep the borders closed like they have been for so long, and not expect to have any sort of repercussions. But I'm an optimist. things go right, and 9 times out of 10 they do. Not all of them, but we just keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Fingers crossed.
Kia ora.
Yeah.
Let's manifest. Let's put this manifestation out, Te whānau, and get
Let's.
those ones out there. Well, we've actually we're coming to an end for our kōrero, and you guys have done an awesome job and answered some really, really good questions, especially for our whanaunga that are living back here, and just had a little bit of insights into your guys' world over on your side of the world, that is. And just finally, if we can go around the squares. And just one by one, if you've got a message for any of your whānau back home, shout outs, we'll put out TikTok handles so far. The border's open if you want to put those out or just want to shout out to your whānau. This is the time. So start with you, Kim.
Oh, just to all my whānau back in New Zealand, I can't wait to squeeze you. Oh, I'm honestly so excited just to be back home, have a boil up, put my feet in the nice green grass of New Zealand. Honestly, and just see my family. I really cannot wait for the day I just step off the plane, and it'll come soon. Being an optimist like Danny, it's gonna come soon.
Kia ora, Kim. And speaking of green grass, and just want to do a shout out to your auntie, actually.
Yes.
Michelle Wee. She's, she looks after our kaimara here in Te Nehenehenui, and she's feeding the whānau, and she's doing an absolute beautiful job. So big shout out to your auntie. Michelle. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for
Love
that.
you,
And you,
auntie.
Pierre, any shout outs? Any shout outs or last messages to your whānau?
Sure. To my whānau, when I'm back, get those kinders ready, please. I'm starving. So have the big boat ready, and I'll be there ready to show them when we're there. No, I think to all of my whānau, can't wait to see you like everybody else. Good things take time. But my favourite is kinders, so make sure you have them ready. But I just do want to make a shout out, obviously, to Māori FM and this broadcast. It's been really good. Makes me even homesick even more. But at the same time, feeling connected with other whānau around the world in a similar situation. Thank you very much. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Pierre. Kia ora. And you, Danny, kia koe te wā e te pātara. Any shout outs or any mihi to your whānau back here?
Yeah, well, I've got a massive whānau back, just like the rest of us here, back in Te Kuiti. But the first one I want to do is out to my grandmother, Winnie Heke. She's there in the Komatua flats just down the bridge there. And my dad looks after her, so to my dad, Jerry Heke. And a special shout to the Kazi Hales James. She's just started up a holiday kids program there down in Te Kuiti, and I've been watching a lot of her mahi that she's been doing with the tamariki, and it's been awesome. She's taken them all over the motu, out to the river, to the moana. It's been amazing to watch. So to Hales and Wills, to the legends, what an awesome kaupapa you got on there. So kia ora there te whānau.
Kia ora, Daddy. Yes, big shout outs to Hales and the Legends crew. We caught them at the Mara a couple of weeks ago, doing that me mahi with Auntie Michelle. So yeah, big shout outs to the Legends crew. I want to take the time to thank you three for coming on our panel tonight, and answering some questions and giving us the insights of what it's like on your guys' side of the world. So thank you very much for taking the time and booking this time, actually, because some of you had to book the time, being in different time zones. But I want to do a big mihi aroha kia koutou, me hoki tō tātou whānau, kei tō tātou kāinga, kei tērā, ki tā wahi. Hope you guys are keeping well, and your whānau as well, wherever you guys are and wherever you end up in the world. E mihi ana kia koutou katoa. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Kia ora.
Thank you.
Kia
Kia ora,
ora.
Leon.
Kia ora. Kia ora te whānau. Kia ora. And a big mihi and a shout out to all of our whānau that are tuned in at home on our Facebook Live, on our Twitter, and on our YouTube as well. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sending in those questions for our panelists. I hope you guys got some good insight as well, and got some good kōrero and felt some connection with our whanaunga that are living overseas as well. It was beautiful to talk to them, and beautiful to have you guys on board with us. And we've got some vaccination centres. If you are wanting to get vaxxed or get a test, below, if you see them scrolling, you'll be able to have a look and go to those vaccination and testing sites tomorrow in our rohe. Well, that's it for me, te whānau. It's been another engaging kōrero and another beautiful time in the hot seats talking to you guys this evening. So it's a big sign off for me. And I'll catch you next time on another Te Puna Kōrero o Te Nehenehenui from me. Here, Leon Hemera, kia koutou tō tātou whānau, e mihi ana kia koutou katoa, tēnā rā koutou, pō Mārie.